Jarvis.
Welcome home, son.
I am Iron Man. You think you're the only superhero in the world? Mr. Stark, you've become part of a bigger universe. You just don't know it yet. Who the hell are you? Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Well, it has been 10 years since the start of the MCU, and I just saw Avengers Infinity War, so I think it's appropriate to do this now. Hello everyone, it's Math Dominus, and today I'm going to be doing the top 10 best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in my opinion. As you all know, I'm a huge Marvel fan, so to celebrate the fact that the MCU is now 10 years old, and Avengers Infinity War's release, I'm going to be making this video. But before we begin, I should probably let you guys know that there will be spoilers in this video. So if you haven't seen any of these movies, or even better, if you haven't seen any of the Avengers movies or Avengers Infinity War, please turn away now, don't be spoiled. However, if you like being spoiled and or you've already seen most of these movies, then I guess stay here. And just to clarify, only Marvel movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are going to be on this list. So don't get confused, okay, in case I didn't put X-Men or Fantastic or Deadpool on this list, because unfortunately those movies are not in the MCU. Only Marvel Cinematic Universe movies are going to be on this list. So without further ado, here we go. Even though the movie Black Panther was overrated, it's still pretty enjoyable. The story takes place after Captain America's Civil War, where T'Challa Black Panther must learn to become king after his father's death, keep Wakanda safe and hidden, and to take down Golem. But Andy Serkis is the least of their problems, as Killmonger, a Wakandan outsider revealed to be a relative of T'Challa, challenges him to be king of Wakanda to deliver resources that Wakanda has that the world needs, vibranium. But Killmonger wants to start a war. T'Challa, after defeating Killmonger, reveals the vibranium to the world without war. And that's kind of what makes Black Panther good. It's really not the story that makes it good, it's the message about opening to others and not isolate yourself, or in this case an entire country. It's learning that the world is suffering and you have the resources to help. So why aren't you helping? But why don't you help? That's the real question. Unity is better than division. Also, Killmonger was portrayed as a racist, angry villain, but at the same time, you feel sympathy for him, because after what he's been through, man, he is full of hatred, which is understandable. Overall, despite cringy and outdated jokes and some terrible CGI, it was overall an enjoyable Marvel movie. So, yeah, that's why Black Panther is number 10. But hold on a second there's still a lot more entries to go, so I'll just say Wakanda forever. Now, when I first saw Doctor Strange back in November of 2016, I thought, yeah, this movie is kind of a generic superhero movie. Like, I know it's Marvel, but, you know, it's too generic. Oh well, time to check off the Time Stone off the Infinity Stone list. But when I gave Doctor Strange a second watch, I actually liked it a little bit more, and let me explain why. Doctor Strange's plot is very similar to Iron Man's, but it's got enough differences to be its own story. It's about a man who had everything, but at the same time had nothing. Until he had his hands destroyed, which led him on a quest to heal them. Using witchcraft, he didn't heal his hands, but instead became a literal Doctor Strange, a sorcerer, a superhero, or whatever doesn't kill him, simply makes him stranger. What I think makes this movie work is how Doctor Strange starts off as a great surgeon who has all the time in the world, like he owns time and thinks he can win all the time. But throughout the movie, he learns that time is valuable, and he learns that sometimes he can lose time, That's literally how you beat the villain in the end of the movie. All Doctor Strange has to do is keep reversing time. Sure, Doctor Strange can't win, but he can lose, and at the very end, Dormammu cannot win, because time is key. Take a shot every time I keep saying time, okay? Anyways, overall, Doctor Strange is actually a pretty good movie. It has great special effects, because those goddamn special effects are amazing. And it has a great character, Doctor Strange. The other characters, yeah, they were pretty good, but Doctor Strange is obviously the star of them all. That is why Doctor Strange is at number 1. Wait, number 1. I mean number 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I guess you could say Doctor Strange is the strangest of them all. Okay, I'll stop. Anyways, next entry. Okay, put your pitchforks down, guys, okay? Yes, I know Iron Man 3 is at number 8, but please, just hear me out, okay? Look, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who likes this movie. Oh, wait, hold on. Well, actually, a lot of people like this movie, but it's a small minority of people who like Iron Man 3. Okay. Yes, I know the Mandarin plot twist upsetted many fans, but I was one of the few people who actually thought it was a good twist. What makes it a good twist, though? Well, we have always seen terrorists as people from the Middle East, who's part of ISIS. That's how we normally portray a terrorist. But we've never seen a wealthy American man be a terrorist. So when we do see who's the real Mandarin, it's actually quite a shock because it's not something we'd normally portray as a terrorist. We always see terrorists as a Middle Eastern guy, not a white person. So that's what makes this twist good. It's actually something new. And plus, does it really matter if it's completely 100% accurate to the comics? I mean, yeah, sure, sometimes it has to be accurate to the comics, but always accurate? Okay, fine, whatever ruins your fun. Anyways, the story is pretty good. Tony Stark having PTSD after the Avengers is just brilliant. Okay, it doesn't sound good when you put that out of context, but hear me out. We see how Tony Stark struggles through PTSD, and how he tries hard to protect the ones that he loves. And by the end of the movie, he learns that while he may have a bunch of armor and, is always protective, the suit was never Iron Man. He is Iron Man. After all, he removes the arc reactor from his chest, concluding what he is, who he is. He is not the suit. He is Iron Man. Yeah, I actually like Iron Man 3. It concludes Tony Stark's, character arc, and overall, Iron Man 3 was a pretty good movie, okay? But that's just my opinion. If you still hate it because of the Mandarin plot twist, then, I don't know how to help you, pal. But overall, I liked Iron Man 3. So anyways, next entry, Gerald. Captain America Civil War. The story, while complicated, is very good. It's about how the UN is preparing to pass the Sokovia Accords, which will establish a UN panel to oversee and control the Avengers. And because of this, the Avengers are divided. Tony Stark supports oversight because of his role in Ultron's creation and Sokovia's devastation, while Rogers has more faith in his own judgment than that of a government. The team gets divided, and by the end of the movie, it was all part of a plan to tear the Avengers apart, and it succeeded. What makes this story unique is that it's not your ordinary superhero movie. Most superhero movies, good or bad, it's mostly about the heroes must overcome something and defeat the villain. Captain America Civil War is about several superheroes who have opposing opinions and therefore conflict with each other. You don't know which side to pick since all the opinions are valid to some degree, at least from the perspective of one of the heroes. And unlike most superhero movies where we think there's going to be an epic showdown, which in this case would be Cap, Bucky, and Iron Man facing against super soldiers, instead of an awesome final battle, it's heartbreaking fight between heroes. In my opinion, what makes Captain America Civil War so good, it's not about heroes stopping the villain, it's about heroes breaking apart, at least until Thanos gathers the Infinity Stones. You know, it's quite ironic how Batman vs Superman is so dark and gloomy, but it's about uniting heroes. Civil War is fun like most Marvel movies, but it's about heroes breaking apart. Whoever said Marvel isn't serious? I guess DC fans, Marvel haters, but the point is, Captain America Civil War was overall a very good movie. I liked all the characters, and the fighting scenes, yeah, they're pretty good. Overall, Captain America Civil War is a very good movie, and it definitely deserves its number 7 entry. Oh, you thought I wasn't gonna put this on the list. Guardians of the Galaxy is a good movie, and it's also a good comedy with a lot of funny jokes. Sure, no one gives a crap about the villain, but it's the Guardians themselves who take the spotlight. Now, the Guardians of the Galaxy are a bunch of outcasts who just want to be powerful. Gamora has been a slave to Thanos for most of her life, never having power over him. Star-Lord is an outsider, and that his mom died, and the Ravagers threatened to eat him. Basically, he lived a shitty life, and in order to feel powerful, he develops an outcast persona, aka Star-Lord. Drax wants to be powerful enough to destroy Ronan and avenge his wife and daughter. Rocket is small, and everyone sees him as powerless because he's a little vermin. And Groot is Groot. So all the characters have their flaws and need to overcome them. This is where they learn that by cooperating with each other and being a family of outcasts, they can become powerful enough to hold an Infinity Stone. You heard me correct. Apparently, through the power of family, you can wield an Infinity Stone. You know, something if you normally touch would probably kill you. Anyways, it's kind of ironic that the message is about being powerful when the Infinity Stone in this movie is the Power Stone. Isn't that ironic? Overall, the Guardians of the Galaxy are some pretty good characters. It has amazing space scenes, and I do love the introduction of the Infinity Stones, and how, it's basically all introduced, and how, the Guardians are later going to die. Okay, I'm going off topic here. Point is, Guardians of the Galaxy is a pretty funny movie, and it's also a very good movie. It's fucking hilarious. Overall, Guardians of the Galaxy definitely deserves the number 6 spot. Also, who knew that a movie about a guy in space, a green girl, some deformed chipmunk, a talking tree, and a raccoon could be a good movie? Who knew? Who knew? Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but then again, I put Iron Man 3 on the number 8 spot, so honestly, who cares? I think Avengers Age of Ultron is better than the first Avengers movie. Okay, while the first Avengers had a good beginning and end, after rewatching it, the middle just felt like it dragged too long and the movie got boring. I get that there were character development and the whole middle of Avengers, but it just felt more like filler, and there's a difference between having character development and filler. But Age of Ultron not only has a little to no filler and scenes that don't drag too long, but also expand Tony Stark's character after the events of Iron Man 3. He is still worried, even worried about his friends dying. I'm assuming he's still suffering from his PTSD, which is why he created Ultron in the first place, to protect the ones he loves. Now, Ultron was programmed to save humanity. After being on the internet for 3 seconds after he was born, said fuck humans. I mean, who could blame him? Ultron is interesting because he is the type of villain who is doing wrong things because he believes that he is doing the right things. In order to save the planet, he thinks humanity's extinction would be the best way to go. He also thinks that superheroes are too dangerous for the planet too. If you think about it, Ultron makes sense. he is the puppet who is serving his master, but realizes a problem with said master, so he tries to do the right thing by doing the complete wrong things and killing his master. I love Ultron and his personality, he's kind of funny. I also love how they portray Hulk. Despite being an Avenger, Hulk is still kind of a monster, and if left unchecked, he could cause mayhem. I would go on about why Age of Ultron was better than the first movie, but I think I've spoken enough. Plus, we got 4 more entries to go. Captain America the Winter Soldier is one of those sequels that's better than the first movie. I like how instead of being a generic superhero movie, it has a whole spy theme going around it. We get to see more of how Steve Rogers is adapting to a new time period, and we got to see more of Black Widow's espionage skills. I also love the Winter Soldier theme, it's just marvelous. I also love the action scenes. They are definitely well made and well shot. I also love the introduction to the character of the Falcon. Definitely one of the better sidekicks in the MCU. Probably one of my favorite things about this movie is the unique story where the evil organization of Hydra has been infiltrating the government and S.H.I.E.L.D. the whole time, and foreshadows the revelation of the fate of Tony Stark's parents. Even though by then at the end of the movie where S.H.I.E.L.D. ultimately collapses, it's still a happy ending because the Winter Soldier remembers who he was, and Captain America is still a proud member of the Avengers, plus they were able to stop Hydra. Now, the Winter Soldier is definitely one of my favorite MCU movies. It's got good characters, amazing action scenes, definitely a unique take on the superhero genre. Also, a movie where the 2 main characters are a male and female but they don't fall in love? What type of Mandela effect is this? Normally, if a guy and a girl are together, they usually fall in love in the story, but they don't fall in love in this story, it's just... oh my god. Yeah, you can tell why I like Captain America the Winter Soldier. Overall, it's a really good superhero movie, definitely one of my favorites. Also, apparently I'm not alone. Apparently a lot of people are saying this is one of the best Marvel movies ever made. Even people who don't like Marvel, so... yeah, that really says something. So, yeah, overall, Captain America the Winter Soldier is definitely one of the best Marvel movies, and it definitely deserves the number 4 spot. Now, number 3 on this list goes to Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, I loved Spider-Man Homecoming. Why? Well, for one, it's a unique take on the character. It's not like the Amazing Spider-Man where they try to copy the Sam Raimi films. They actually did something new with Spider-Man for once. Also, Spider-Man in this movie is relatable, at least to me. He's a high school student who just wants to try his best, but at the same time, he wants to be Spider-Man because he too wants to be an Avenger. He wants to prove to Stark that he can be a proud member of the Avengers, just like how I want to prove I can do good in life where I miserably fail. I also thought that Ned, Peter Parker's best friend, was a hilarious comic relief with some amazing lines like, "I was watching porn." He is definitely one of my favorite characters. But, what makes this movie good is the Vulture. I love Michael Keaton's Vulture. The Vulture is probably one of the best villains in the MCU, aside from Loki, Ironmonger, and Thanos. Yeah, I'll get to them later. Unlike most villains where they want to take over the world or destroy it, the Vulture's motivations for stealing the Chitauri tech and making money off of it is pretty understandable. Sure, what he is doing is bad, like very bad, but at least you can understand that what he is trying to do is support his family, even if he is doing the wrong things about it. In the end, I love Spider-Man Homecoming. Its characters are good, the story is unique for Spider-Man, the special effects, while they were somewhat good, yeah, I still like the special effects, except for one. The only problem I have with Spider-Man Homecoming is the suit. Okay, look, I will admit, I guess they were trying to go for a cartoony look for the suit, but it just looks too much like CGI. Like, instead of a costume, they just put motion capture balls on Tom Holland and put the suit over him using CGI. Kinda like Green Lantern. But unlike Green Lantern, Spider-Man Homecoming was otherwise a very, very good movie. Oh well, time to go to the next entry.
Okay, so
This is the fucking ending.
you have
of the
to say spoilers.
Infinity.
You know this, right?
Oh yeah, spoilers, guys, spoilers. So, what'd you guys think of?
It's
They had to fucking kill freaking Black Panther, but
was
why the
fucking
fuck
awesome.
did they have to? I mean, yeah, I kind of get it that half of the freaking universe had to freaking die, but I mean,
They had to, man.
Black Panther, that's freaking bullshit.
Bro, what about everyone else that died? What the fuck?
I mean, yeah, everyone else that died was freaking bullshit.
Especially Spider-Man, because he felt like he's like,
I
Stark,
know.
I don't want to go. Please, I don't want to go.
I know, freaking Spider-Man
Yeah.
was like one of the worst ones that died.
Bro, I'm so
Along with
sad.
freaking Black Panther.
I know.
I mean, what the heck?
I'd rather have Black Panther than Spider-Man.
What the actual freaking fuck?
You have nice hair.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Squidward dies. Anyways, Avengers Infinity War is one of the best Marvel movies to date. Who knew that you can cram so many main characters in a movie and actually make it work? Not only is Infinity War well shot, but I love how instead of a Power Ranger type of fighting most MCU movies get, the fights in Infinity War actually look like they were fighting and not dancing. The jokes in Infinity War were pretty funny, but the one thing that I'm proud of Marvel for doing is that Marvel actually took risks. I mean, they killed off Black Panther and Spider-Man, of all people. How is that not taking risks? They're literally killing off their big moneymakers. In fact, they're killing off the moneymakers that are supposed to be the next generation of Avengers. Why would they kill them off? Yeah, that's a huge risk. Thanos is also one of the most developed villains in the MCU. He is kind of like a Jehovah's Witness or a Mormon. He believes what he is doing is right and the only way to do things when he is so completely wrong, and dismisses anyone who has a different opinion and or anyone who doesn't agree with him. At least he doesn't shun his family members. Oh wait, he killed his dog. Okay. Anyways, probably the best thing about Infinity War is Iron Man's character arc. Since the first Iron Man movie, Tony Stark just wanted to protect the one he loves, and to keep the world safe. This is especially shown in the Age of Ultron, where he saw the vision where everyone died, thus it created Ultron. But no matter how hard he tries to stop Thanos, no matter how much he prepared for the protection of his loved ones, he fails. All the time he was preparing for the ultimate battle, he fails. Also, remember how Tony and his father didn't go so well to the point where Tony felt like his father never loved him? Well, Tony's relationship with Peter Parker is filling the gap of a father and son relationship he never had and always wanted. But then, yeah, I think we all know what happens. Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. The father and son relationship that Iron Man always wanted, the one that he finally gets to have, disappears. Just like that. All this time, trying to protect Peter, his surrogate son, fails. He tried to become an Avenger, but he fails. Even though there were a lot of main characters with their own story arc, it was Iron Man who was the protagonist of Infinity War. And so is Thanos. Like I said, Thanos is one of the most developed villains in the MCU. And aside from Iron Man and Thanos, I also feel like Thor had some good character development. I mean, Thor lost his brother, his family, which includes his brother, and his best friend, which, yeah, the black guy died first, so yeah. Anyways, the point is, Thor lost everything, and in order to get everything, well, back, or not lose everything more, is to build Stormbreaker, this badass Mjolnir type of weapon. He tries to kill Thanos, but he fails. He fails to get his revenge on Thanos for killing everything he ever loved. And he lost even more. He lost even more. More than you could ever imagine. Whew. Now that I think about it, Avengers Infinity War is actually pretty depressing. Yeah, it's definitely one of the darker MCU films. Do not let your children watch this. They're gonna see Spider-Man die. Overall, Infinity War is the second best MCU movie, and it definitely deserves the rating it's getting. Oh yeah, if I had to give this movie a rating, I would say 8 stars out of 10. Definitely one of the best Marvel movies of all time. But what could be better than Avengers Infinity War? What could possibly be the #1 spot? Well, you'll be surprised. Now, after all of the movies I put on this list, after saying how good all of these movies were, how Infinity War is arguably the best Marvel movie, how all of these movies are amazing, what could possibly be the best of them all? What could be better than Infinity War? What could top any Marvel movie ever? The answer is Iron Man. Let me explain. Not only did Iron Man kick off the MCU, but it's the only self-contained Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Like, if you watched Iron Man without knowing what the MCU was, somehow, you wouldn't have to see the other movies just to understand what's going on, because it's a pretty self-contained movie. And there are no cameos of other heroes in this movie. Iron Man is a self-contained story. I mean, sure, S.H.I.E.L.D. is in this movie, but because it's the first MCU movie, S.H.I.E.L.D. kinda acts like an FBI rather than trying to tie in with other movies. Plus, throughout the movie, they don't refer to as S.H.I.E.L.D. Instead, they refer to as, well, I can understand why they're calling it S.H.I.E.L.D. now. Anyways, Iron Man is good, but what makes it amazing is Tony Stark. Tony Stark is amazing in this movie. He starts off as a sort of douchebag who doesn't really care about life because he has everything. He is a genius playboy philanthropist. But after being kidnapped by a feminist, terrorist, what's the difference? He learns the values of life, and he also learns that weapons he makes are being used by the enemy. He fears that his biggest creations are being used against him. So, after building the Mark I and escapes the cave he was being kept in, he shuts down the weapons department and begins working on the arc reactor technology while making more Iron Man suits. He also tries not to waste his life this time around, and he actually went for it. He went with Pepper Potts, and they're gonna be together, they're gonna have a kid, and he's definitely not gonna die. Oh shit. Anyways, the point is, I love Tony Stark's character. Now, another thing that I should probably say is that Iron Man has a good villain. Now, a lot of people say that Marvel villains have been a great lackluster and they're not very good, which I can agree. But when people bring out examples of good Marvel villains, for some reason, Obadiah Stane, aka Ironmonger, is always left out. Seriously, Ironmonger was actually a good Marvel villain. He's the corporate asshole who makes profit off of selling star weapons to the bad guys, and even tries to kill Tony just so he can take over. However, Tony thwarts his plans and fails. He wears the giant version of the Mark I as a last-ditch effort, but he fails miserably, and he dies. Maybe the reason why people don't like Ironmonger is because he dies, but doesn't matter. Killmonger dies, but everyone's saying that Killmonger is a good villain, which I actually kind of agree. He is a good villain. So why is Ironmonger being put down? I don't know, maybe he's white. Anyways, the point is, Iron Man had an actual good villain. Not only that, but Iron Man had some good characters with a great protagonist because he's the protagonist. He's obviously supposed to be great. And the CGI in Iron Man surprisingly holds up well. I mean, in Captain America Civil War, yeah, you can tell it's CGI, but in Iron Man, I actually couldn't tell most of the time that it was supposed to be CGI, probably because they use special effects called practical effects, where there is something in the camera. Oh god, practical effects. Okay, I'm getting off topic. Overall, Iron Man is definitely the best MCU movie the Marvel Cinematic Universe has to offer. Yeah, and with that, we conclude the top 10 best MCU movies. Whew! The Marvel Cinematic Universe has definitely come a long way. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is something we've never seen before. The idea of movies and another movie sharing the same universe, I mean, that's actually a pretty good idea. I mean, sure, this idea has been played around for quite a while, especially with Godzilla in his early days. The MCU is the series that really kicks off the idea of a shared universe. In fact, almost everyone's trying to copy the MCU, but they're miserably failing. Overall, Marvel has come a long way.